We'll see if anybody's going to join us this morning. Morning, Boo.
Again, has to be put in context. The
Morning, Barb.
This video is to share with my colleague at OPS because that day we had been told that, now we're going to...
We're just watching day 2 of the inquiry.
There's no sign of egress.
Morning, Alberta Bear.
When you say, sorry, you said you're calling it OPS, you mean the kind of police liaison?
The person that was on the call.
I listen to some of this stuff and it frustrates the fuck out of me.
Describe.
Because I was there. I was in the fucking thick of things the whole time. And a lot of shit is bullshit.
This video, to put in context, is next
Where they say some of the businesses were they felt threatened and they had to close their doors. And there's a coffee shop that's named in the class action lawsuit that's suing the Freedom Convoy, blah, blah, blah. I was there, man. What is it, CTV News or?
No, I'm watching it on YouTube.
Watching it on YouTube, CTV News. If you go on Facebook, Patriot Smoothie, there's a few people streaming it. But yeah, no, if you talk to any of those businesses that stayed open, they have the best business they've ever done in Ottawa City. Better than Canada Day, better than any other fucking business they've ever done in Ottawa. And when asked, or did they feel safe? Like Tim Hortons was like, safe? Like the driver, they were doing it was the most safe Ottawa has ever been. And the Ottawa chief of police even said it was the safest Ottawa's ever been. It was the least amount of crime the downtown core has ever seen in history during the convoy. So, shit like that drives me nuts. Like these businesses that are claiming poor me, woohoo, say no, open up. You would have had the best business you would ever had in your life. Now, I admit, okay, so the first Saturday when I was there, I think a lot of people ruined it in that mall, in the Rideau Center. Because I went into the Rideau Center, I went looking for a battery pack for my phone. And some of the businesses were not allowing you in without mask and blah, blah, blah. Which, whatever, you know what I mean? That's the business prerogative. I can choose not to support them or not. But I found one and I had to stand. I said, can I stand at the door and do the transaction at the door and not wear a mask? And they said, yes, that's fine. So I made the transaction at the door with no mask. But there was people going around screaming at people, take your fucking mask off, fucking loser. And I called out a bunch of guys. I was like, what the fuck you doing, man? They have the right to wear a mask if they want to wear a mask. Like, who are you to tell them to take it off, right? So, I mean, there's two sides to the coin, but any of those businesses that closed, you're an idiot. You would have had the best business. You were not threatened in any way. Oh, the truth will come out. I believe that they will deem the Emergencies Act unnecessary, for sure. And and a lot of things. What is that going to do for Trudeau? I hope it does a fucking what do you call it? Non-confidence. I hope it does that. Chances are it won't. He'll probably get a fucking little slap on the wrist and move on. But what it will do is it will prove that all the charges and all the seizing of the bank's accounts and all of that were fucking completely illegal. So that will fucking erase all of that. And that is our best hope for right now. Let it happen, right? So
you need permits to put up tents like that in the city of Ottawa. You pay a permit.
Did you miss it, Dave? You always miss it. Dickard. Bonjour.
To my knowledge, none of that had been done at gunpoint. So I essentially
Trudeau for treason for sure, buddy.
In my community that was neither sanctioned nor was it protected by the normal standards that the city of Ottawa would adhere to. And in the city there's a thing called the SEEK program, which is Special Events Activation Team. And
I'm sure they did.
Through the city of Ottawa, must go through the
86% no, yeah, right on. But it wasn't necessary. There's even the police and everybody said, you know, look at Coots. The people in Coots are willing to testify that Coots handled it without the Emergencies Act, and they handled it peacefully. And there was guns and everything found there. You know, there was no guns found in Ottawa. There was no nothing. There was a rumor about those guns being stolen in Southern Ontario, and they were rumored to be in the Ottawa area, but they found them way far away. They weren't anywhere near Ottawa.
In some of the streets, did you ever witness anyone dumping urines?
Dude, Robert Skinner, you are preaching to the choir for sure. I 100% with you on that. I don't think we're ever going to prove it. I am 100% fucking 100% sure, and I'm hoping somebody does prove it, because that would be fucking incredible. That is definitely an act of treason for sure.
I've got to go to service today, get that money for Tara.
I have to go to service anyways today to make an appointment to change that shit.
And I think a lot worked.
What did you observe that led you to that conclusion?
I'm just going to tell her to reroute the into our mortgage, that's all.
I don't know this for a fact, but I deduced that there was...
Well, hello, Mrs. Shitty Car. Long time no see. Hope you're well. I hope Shitty Car's well. I haven't heard from her in a while, too. I should probably send her a message, see how she's doing.
On several occasions, I would be trying to sort of leave that parking lot, and there would be 50, 60, 100 trucks all in a row, not respecting traffic, not just respecting
Morning,
traffic.
Brianne.
Operating as a parade, but again, parade, you have to have police escort. There are certain laws. It's announced ahead of time what your trajet, sorry, I don't know how to write in English is. And, so again, these were things that would happen. I saw convoys of trucks,
That's good, Tammy, that's good.
Driving down Vanier Parkway, which is not even
Yeah,
a truck.
so my morning rant this morning is just the stupidity of some people in this Emergency Act, and it's to be expected. I don't expect any less. I expect people to bullshit. The one girl about her decibel meter in her apartment, but she couldn't answer which decibel meter she used, and I think it was, and I don't recall, and come on,
They
man.
were throwing eggs, which is...
Dude, I was inside businesses in the downtown core. I was inside buildings. I was inside motels that were right there. The decibel levels were definitely not 75 from the honking and shit like that. Could you hear it? Yes. Was it annoying? For sure it was. But that was the point of it.
Wanting to use the bathroom.
You want it to stop, come and talk with us. So that was on your... Not your, because probably nobody here, but that was on the elected officials' job to do that. To come out and talk to us, to stop the honking, and to stop the whatever, the noise. It is crimes against humanity, and they were talking about the, non-lethal rounds that were used and the 40mm fucking tear gas grenades and all that. Dude, I was there. I was standing 10 feet away from Alexa from Rebel News when she got hit with that 40mm grenade. Point blank, I watched it happen. They walked up and shot her in the leg. I got hit with that tear gas. I was on live when it happened. Like, my eyes were burning, my throat was burning, I had trouble breathing. I can imagine what she was going through being point blank like that, but I saw all that shit, man. I saw the brutality. I saw people getting fucking butt-ended with rifles and smoked in the face with batons, and I saw the beatings, like ruthless beatings happen.
Best judgment of the bylaw officer, whether or not they would impose a fine on the business for reporting. Are you aware of any businesses that received fines? No, none of my members reported anything.
That one coffee that they like...
Plus half the convoy was inside you. What the fuck are you talking about, Tyra? Get the fuck out of here.
Not to the people, and so that's
Go back to work.
another deterrent to keeping your business open, because
We don't want your kind in our country.
you can't control or have security there that at your own expense, which most of these stores didn't have at that point. We're coming off of a 2-year,
But they forced that one coffee shop
and then we all got caught off guard.
They forced even the business that stayed open. They forced that fucking kebab guy or whatever, the Lebanese place. They forced him to close. They forced the Tim Hortons to close. They forced those businesses to close. They were doing the best business they ever had.
Street typically closed.
They didn't want to close. They were forced to close. But you had fucking dumb Ford who's in they're closing, they're preventing businesses from being, no, we weren't. We were asking the businesses to open. We were pleading with the businesses to open. It was Trudeau and his government's job to fucking force us out and starve us out by forcing the businesses to close, forcing washrooms to not be there, so on and so forth.
Concern for his safety and any staff he were to bring in during that time, which led to
Shut up, Tyrell.
Thank you.
If I wanted lip from you, I'd rattle my zipper.
On Ottawa businesses generally, are you? Yeah, a business of mine was publicly against the convoy as it was interfering with their business. Had their Google review attacked, so they suddenly randomly started getting reviews.
That's my morning rant.
On their business, and that's something that's very difficult for a business.
Short and sweet.
It's an easy thing for someone to do.
We'll keep watching. Keep an eye on things.
In this day and age of internet reviews and such, those things.
100%, Tyrell. We were feeding the homeless. They put out an article that we were stealing from the homeless shelter, stealing food from the homeless shelter. If you believed that we walked by dozens and dozens of tents cooking and barbecuing and flat deck trailers filled with food to go steal from a homeless shelter, you are a complete idiot. 100% you are a complete idiot.
For his mechanics to do work through the winter, and during this period it was just impossible. Thank you. Those are all. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it should also be noted that Doritos.
Yeah, the ones that stayed open were getting fucking bashed on Google, and anybody that was attending and anybody that was downtown or participating, they all got bashed on Google and shit. Well, that was an easy fix. That sauna company that donated saunas to us at 302 Coventry, because the fire department come and put out our fires and said they were illegal and blah blah blah, so they donated some saunas for us to warm up. Well, they started fucking Google reviewing this sauna company, giving bad reviews. All we did is call outs asking for everybody to give it a 5-star review. Within minutes, they were back up to like a 4.8, 4.9 review. It was crazy, man. Minutes. We turned that around for them 100%. Well, my businesses got called out. I got one star review, one bad review, and my wife responded to it perfectly. Morning, Judy.
You were shut down at Christmas, not one where you've been shut down for 2 years. So
100% BP.
Those are all my questions.
That's exactly it. That Lebanese guy, the shawarma place on the corner by the Bubble Bus, it was Metcalf and Slater. He opened up. He was in debt. He was ready to close. He even said his credit cards were maxed out, all his bills. He was behind on his rent. He was ready to close because of all the lockdowns, and within 6 or 7 days, all his debt was paid off, his rent was caught up, everything was complete. And I talked to this guy personally. He was completely out of debt. He was in the fucking black again within 6 days.
And I immediately, my brain said, oh my god, they're in violation of the health orders, and then I realized, no, the rest of the province has been allowed to open.
Well, Judy was on Facebook, Dicker, but now she's on YouTube.
The effect that this had was because this activation happened as long as it did. Police directed the residents and visitors to not come downtown.
And I'll tell you what, I had conversations with many officers, some sergeants, staff sergeants, all kinds of shit. They were 100% on board with this.
We've already seen it in tourism numbers.
They were 100%. One guy I tried to bring coffee every day. I'd make a point to go to where he was to talk to him. He was he was a staff sergeant. He was up there. And, we had good chat. He would never directly admit to supporting us, but he would make little subtle fucking comments oh, everything's great here. Good morning this morning, he would make subtle comments he was supporting this 100%. And there was many that were.
Go to the market, and then they're sitting out on the market at the end of this really amazing day, and then all of a sudden this protest comes up and people start yelling and screaming, and so
exactly, the iconic cafe, Tyrell, their business was phenomenal.
The second point I'd like to
I talked to the guy at the 7-Eleven or whatever, was it it 7-Eleven or Max or whatever it was, just around the corner from my motel where I was staying. The guy said it was amazing, man. Like, the business there was phenomenal.
Is a street which is the closest street to the Convoy, a street that is very multicultural and has a lot of a lot of specific cultural groceterias, restaurants, those types of things. Anecdotally, there was a lot of it was very difficult for some of those business owners, and though they may or may not have closed, the sense, and I think the speakers this morning sort of talked to that, there was a sense of like foreboding in the city. There was this intense feeling, and specifically one of our organizations that we worked quickly with was intimidated to a certain extent by having men standing outside their windows looking in, again, comments being made, and this is a shelter for Indigenous women and children. So it has to be said that the damage done, I think, was somewhat disproportionate to those in our city that are equity seeking and equity deserving, especially our small businesses.
Thank you very much. Those are all my questions.
See, like, God, that's fucking stupid.
I'd ask, has there been any agreement on the order of cross-examination? Seeing no indication, I will call on again.
Damage was created by the government.
In terms of the length of time that's been allocated, starting with the convoy organizers.
All right. Who's coming up?
Convoy organizers are cross-examining.
Okay.
Morning. My name is Brendan Miller. I'm counsel for Freedom Corp. I've been asked to make sure that we introduce ourselves before we start. I just have a few questions for you, and just so you know, most of these are what we call Brown and Dunn questions. I just need to give them to you so that there's some other evidence down the road. I need to be fair to you, so I need to put a lot of this to you, okay?
Just to be clear, Brown and Dunn is simply that they put a statement to it that it may be contradicted later, so you should have a chance to comment.
Thank you for that clarification.
So, yeah, sorry, I'm a true lawyer.
I was trying to fake it till I made it on that one. So.
Well, it's good. It's good. You did a very good job. You sold me. So, okay. So I understand that after the protests, there was two funds set up. One being $20 million was set aside by the federal government to compensate Ottawa businesses affected by the protests, and another one for $10 million from the provincial government. Is that correct? Correct. And to date, or at least as of June, I understand that of the federal government funds, only $8.6 million have been used. Is that fair?
I don't have that knowledge. I know a lot of my businesses took advantage of it.
I can't comment on the total, but I could state that the majority of my Main Street business, my storefront businesses did apply to the fund.
Okay. And of the $10 million provided by the province, I can't find if...
Just listening to this, the lawyer, the convoy lawyer.
Do you know any amounts with respect to the amount of money that was used from the provincial funds?
No.
Okay, thank you. You had said in your evidence, ma'am, that Uber Eats wasn't available during the protests.
Yes, it was.
I'm going to put it to you that it was.
100% it was. We used it.
Okay.
We used that. We used Skip.
I'm giving you an opportunity.
Sure.
That's the purpose of this. So
right.
I want to be fair to you. I'm going to put it to you that Uber Eats, in fact, was operating during the protest and was, in fact, even delivering to the protesters.
I would say there are likely times that Uber Eats was operating, and other times on the weekends, which I think our businesses would deem to be the most busy times where a lot of them weren't. There was a lack of drivers. I know that was a major issue, and then because of the closures, there was zero access for it. So whether the app was open or not, I'm not aware, but I can tell you that many of our restaurants in Vanier and others could not use that service as a method to sell their food. And further to that, some would make the orders and they wouldn't be picked up, so there was an additional loss.
Okay. And did you yourself experience any inability to use Uber
That's
Eats?
bullshit.
I did not use
We used
Uber Eats in that time.
Uber and Skip almost every day, and we never had a problem. And we were right downtown, and they would deliver it to us every day, on the weekends, every day.
during this time? That she, I believe, is the
Yes,
president of
she's
Treasury?
the MP that represents Vanier, so I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So they're blatantly
I
lying.
take it that when you contacted her, at one juncture, you asked her to help you with respect to removing police blockades that were affecting the market and your area. Is that fair?
I did not. No, that was not my request.
Now,
That may have been my colleague in the market,
I
but
gotta
it
go
was
in and
not.
get some meat. I'll be right
and
back.
in the videos, my friends from the
We'll be
community
right back.
played
Just
for
gonna go get some steaks.
those videos taken by you. You would agree that there was no honking or noise in the background in those videos, was there?
In some there were, not in those particular videos, but at times there was honking. There wasn't as much honking at Coventry, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what time I saw all the videos? It was
Roughly 6 p.m.
Roughly 6 p.m. So,
Well, the first weekend, that was roughly 6 p.m. On the second weekend, it was 9 a.m. in the morning.
okay,
So it depends. I was there at different times.
right. But you agree in both those videos there's no loud noises, there's no honking while you're driving and taking those videos?
There was honking. Yes, there was definitely honking. There was some loud noises. Whether they were as loud as downtown, no, they were not.
Okay.
But there was definitely honking, and depending at times too. Also, yeah, no, there was not.
Right. And were you aware that on January 25th, 2022, the city of Ottawa received an email from the Hotel Association here in town stating that the truckers and protesters had booked stays for over 30 days?
I was not aware of the email, but I do know that Steve Ball from the Hotel Association was on many of our calls, especially in the third and fourth weekend and near the tail end of them, and he did make that aware to us. He also pointed out to the fact that there was a lot of hotels that couldn't be accounted for because they would be booked through third party.
Right.
So the hotels.coms or things like that.
So is it fair to say that, to your knowledge, that the municipality of the city of Ottawa knew on January 25th, 2022, these protesters and truckers were intending to stay a lot longer than the weekend?
It appears to me that they should have known that, yes.
Right. And you had mentioned that you saw some folks pouring out urine and other fecal matter or what have you.
Just urine.
Yes, okay. And what date was that? Do you recall?
The date is on the video. I believe it was the second weekend, possibly the third weekend. I'm sorry, it's on the video, but
But it wasn't at the beginning.
it was not at the beginning, no.
Okay. Were you aware that the protesters and the truckers had applied for and had been given permits for porta potties originally, but those permits were then pulled?
I'm not aware of that, no. But I'm kind of happy to hear that at some point something was permitted, yes.
Well, that was at the beginning. At the beginning. And I just, again, trying to be fair to you.
Thank you.
And you had mentioned that you had seen or heard from some store owner that they had sold out of knives and bear spray. Is that right?
The Canadian Tire, yes. That's what was told to me.
Is it fair to say, though, that you never saw any protesters or truckers running around waving knives?
Most of the people I know that hunt with knives don't wave them around.
Right, good.
So they would be concealed, perhaps, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think waving around a knife states whether or not the knife exists.
All right.
Did I see the knife being waved around? No, I did not.
All right, and you never...
Do I trust that the Canadian Tire is telling me the truth? Yes.
Right. So, and you never saw protesters with bear spray?
I was not in the heat of it on the last weekend, if that's what you're implying, no.
And despite that Canadian Tire had sold out of these items, you had no knowledge of who they sold all of these items to. Is that fair?
I had none, no.
So you don't know if you sold them to protesters or if they sold them to local residents. Would that be fair?
I suppose that would be fair, yes. I mean, I suppose we could probably cross-reference credit cards at some point and figure that out, but I don't think that
Credit
is
cards?
the case. Well, I don't know.
I think the feds will need to get another order for production for all that.
Likely. Way above my pay grade, sir.
Way above mine, too.
Thank you.
So I believe those are all my questions for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call on the Ottawa Police Service.
my name is Jessica Barrow, and I represent the Ottawa Police Service. Thank you, Jessica. I want to start, we had a bit of a discussion earlier, we heard a bit of a discussion earlier about what information BIAs would typically receive as the city was preparing for a protest or an activation, as you called it, Mr. McHale. And so I want to unpackage that a little bit, and I'll start with you, Mr. McHale, if that's all right. So in terms of the types of information you would expect to receive, would that typically include the nature and location of any traffic disruptions?
Yes.
As well as any plans the police may have to mitigate any such traffic disruptions?
Yes.
You would also presumably expect to hear about any information the police have available to them about the expected behavior of the protesters?
Within reason, yes.
As well as the expected number of the protesters?
Yes.
And perhaps how disruptive the protest is likely to be to your local businesses?
Yes, on occasion we've been told about how the levels of cooperation between the organizers and city officials, so yes.
Right. And you would expect to be advised where businesses could direct any concerns they may have should those arise throughout the course of events, correct? I take it, though, that you would agree with me that there may be circumstances under which there are impediments to police disclosing certain information to local businesses. Is that fair?
It's fair.
Or that may impede the police's ability to consult with the public or community members or business members and jointly agree on strategies?
Agree with that.
For example, there may be sensitivity or confidentiality around certain operational planning techniques that may be going on at OPS?
I'd agree with that.
As well as in relation to any intelligence information in the possession of the Ottawa Police?
Yes.
I take it you would obviously agree with me that you could not expect the police to provide information to the public which is not yet known to them.
I'd agree with that.
And you would agree that the police may need to quickly or unilaterally adopt or change strategies to address the changing circumstances of an event.
Yes.
We heard earlier about the experience that local BIAs, and in particular the downtown core, have with events and demonstrations and protests in the city of Ottawa, correct?
Correct.
And you've indicated that they're a fairly regular occurrence.
Yes.
Would you agree with me that the convoy was unlike any of the previous demonstrations or protests the city has seen?
I would.
Or specifically the size of the convoy was unlike any previous
Some
protests local
tenderloins, some
businesses have seen?
salads and shit.
Yes.
And the volatility of the convoy was unlike previous protests?
Yes.
And in fact, you indicated that previously businesses have never been required to close,
That's correct.
and that this time they did because this protest was very different from all previous ones.
Many chose to close based upon what information or lack of information was provided to them, yes.
So I want to talk now, we talked sort of in generalities, now I want to focus on the specific communications that were provided to BIAs in the lead up as well as during the convoy. I want to start with a document. It's an OPS 403228.
Not right now.
He's going this afternoon. So
Hey?
he's going this afternoon to
And if we could go specifically to page 6.
Oh, I wanted to get. I can send somebody to get a case of beer.
Thank you, that's perfect. Can you see here that there's an email exchange between the Ottawa Police and the City of Ottawa?
Yes.
Perhaps just scroll back up a little bit so we can see the date. It's on January 26th at 12:09 p.m.
Ainter Lee, no, it's not. It's just an inquiry.
And would you agree with me that it says
To
that
deem
the
if the
police officers
Emergency
are in
Act
touch with
was
downtown BIAs and are providing them with updates
necessary.
to expect large crowds and traffic disruptions? We cannot tell them to stay open or to close, but some businesses may elect to close so as not to get tied up in an anti-vax demonstration.
Love that
I see
beer.
that, yes.
Do you recall that as of this time, which is January 26th, OPS community police officers were in fact reaching out to BIAs to share information in advance of the convoy's arrival?
Yeah, information is being sent to us and other organizations, yeah.
And this is 2 days prior to the beginning of the convoy starting to arrive on the 28th?
My truck doesn't run
That's
on
correct,
unicorn piss.
And businesses are being told that there will be large crowds
as well as traffic disruptions,
Yes.
and that there is a possibility of anti-vax demonstrations in downtown establishments by convoy participants,
Yes.
but that ultimately the decision has to remain with the businesses as to whether or not to close.
Correct.
I want
That's
to take
bullshit.
you now to
That's another blatant lie.
OTT.
Because they forced the businesses that were open to
5066.
close. That is 100% bullshit.
She's just saying that the police did.
What?
This is the cop. She represents the cop. So she's saying that the police sent out communication saying that they could still put if they want. It didn't come from the police, so they had to close.
No, well, it was the police that forced a few of them to shut down. Mind you, it was
There's also
Ottawa.
a point
It was
000
Ottawa Health that
on
was
hand
with
if
them,
that's
right?
required. Just scroll down a little bit.
That's
You'll
fucking
see
hideous.
an email to the January 25th
I don't like that at
email
all.
below. That's perfect. So you can see here it's email from Sebastian LeMay on January 25th at 11:38 a.m. And you would agree with me that Sebastian LeMay is
All right,
one of the
folks.
community
I'm
police
out of here.
officers. I believe that
Gonna
was
go cook
testified
some
to
steak for
earlier.
my
Yes, it's not mine.
for my
No,
mechanics.
but he's yes, okay.
So you people have a wonderful
And
day.
you would agree that it tells
Yes, I
us
said you
a few
people.
details about the
Bye-bye.
upcoming convoy, and this is as early as January 25th, correct?
Yes.
The Ottawa Police are in the process of continuing